Good day, learners. We are going to practice our listening skills using a very exciting and slightly scary short story called There's a Monster in My Cupboard. While listening, I want you to focus on two very important listening skills. One, listening for detail. This means listening very carefully for specific facts in the story. They are small pieces of information, and if you're not listening closely, you might miss them. And two, listening to make inferences. This means thinking deeper about the story. This will help us understand feelings, emotions, and hidden meanings in the story. As I read the story, I want you to listen carefully to the words, the sounds, and the feelings of the characters. There's a monster in my cupboard. Robert has invited his friend John for a sleepover. The two boys enjoy playing on Robert's Nintendo game. This is the best computer game, shrieked Robert. Come and see the monsters attacking me. Wow, John exclaimed. Where did you get such a scary game? You'd better use all your artillery to attack the monsters, or they will destroy you. I've still got 5 lives, but this is the most difficult game I've ever played. It looks like they are going to destroy me. Look at this monster with 3 eyes. He's vicious, Robert shouted. Robert and John, called Robert's mother. Put that Nintendo away and get to bed now. Okay, but I just want to destroy this guy first, Robert called back. Switch the game off now, said his mother. You can carry on playing it tomorrow. Switch off the lights immediately. Okay, Mom, said Robert. As he switched off his light and carried on playing his Nintendo game under the blankets late into the night. John, who was exhausted by now, fell fast asleep. Eventually, the monster won the game, and feeling quite defeated, Robert dropped the Nintendo to the floor and fell asleep. Suddenly, Robert woke up. What was that noise? Scratch, bump, scratch, scratch. Robert opened his eyes and pulled the blankets to his chin. His eyes searched the dark room, trying to see what was making those scary sounds. They were coming from his cupboard. The door moved. Something was bumping against the door. A monster, Robert whispered. Who's there? He asked in a shaky voice. The door began to open. Robert jumped up and slammed the door shut. He pushed a chair against it. Now I can go back to sleep in peace, he thought. Just as he climbed back into bed, there was another bump on the door. This time it was even a louder bump. Gripped by fear, he ran and woke his friend John. John, there's something in my cupboard. It's a monster of some kind, he whispered in a soft voice. You probably had a bad nightmare. Let me sleep, I'm tired, replied John. It wasn't a dream. I had to lock the door. The cupboard door was opening by itself. John searched around in his backpack and found his torch. He walked towards the cupboard. There was another loud thump. The two boys stood still, too frightened to move. A scratching sound came from the cupboard. Did you hear that? Robert asked. John nodded. They could feel their hearts beating harder and faster. Who's there? John called in a trembling voice. Robert and John tiptoed to the cupboard. John pulled open the door slightly and Robert shined the torch through the crack. Something was trying to push the door open. Suddenly, the torch revealed 2 yellow eyes. The boys began to tremble. They slammed the door shut and leaned against it. The bumping and scratching got louder. John took a deep breath and opened the door again. A creature jumped out and streaked past them. What was that? Robert shouted. It's your cat! Shrieked John with a laugh. Now that we've finished the story, I'm going to ask a few questions to check how well you listened. 1. What were Robert and John doing before bedtime? 2. What sounds did Robert hear coming from the cupboard? 3. Why did Robert think there was a monster in the cupboard? 4. What clues in the story showed that the boys were very scared? 5. Do you think Robert was brave or not? And explain why. 6. If you could change the ending of the story, how would it end? The reflection. The questions I used were appropriate for assessing both listening and detail. The questions I used were appropriate for assessing both listening for detail and listening to make inferences. One challenge I faced was keeping my tone and intonation interesting throughout the reading. It's easy to fall into a monotone when you're concentrating on accuracy and pronunciation. I had to practice several times before getting it right. In the future, I will try to integrate visuals or gestures when possible to help the kids engage more, especially during the introduction of listening skills.